Welcome to the party, pal. You're from the neighborhood masterclass. Back with you once again, and I've got a very, very special guest with me. Somebody that has been a big part of my genre cinema fandom for quite a while. Mr. Tim Lucas, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. It's I'm sort of in between projects now and gearing up for something that has to be delivered very quickly. A new audio commentary that I can't talk about yet, but it's like scary busy right here.
Oh my gosh, that's something I definitely want to pick your brain about. We're going to be talking SEVERIN sale. The big SEVERIN sale is coming up next week, next weekend, I should say. But as somebody who does a lot of special features, I'm curious what that process is like. If you can sort of give us a sort of a brief sketch of what it's like to put together an audio commentary.
Well, my process is usually that I will go through and I will print out the time codes for specific scenes and put a little description next to the time code of what's going on in the scene. And then I look at the scene over and over and over and determine what is best to discuss there. If the real focus, it might be the focus of the scene, the thematic focus of the scene. It could be performance. It could be the art direction or something really special that happens in the cinematography. So it's kind of like, scoring the movie in, with description. I don't like to do, like what they call play-by-play, and just describe what you're seeing on the screen, but I have to interpret what you're seeing on the screen. And I think that's much more interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of your commentaries. I don't like the ones where like, oh, and now he's opening the door and we're meeting a new character. Like, yeah, I see that's what's happening. I don't need you specifically to tell me what's happening. But I do love your work when it comes to all those special features. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you have in store for us.
Thank you. What I love is I love when I discover new things myself. So when doing a commentary is a real education for me, I know it's going to be entertaining for the viewer.
Yeah, and that's kind of the beauty and the magic of cinema, right? Even if you've seen a movie 100 times, it's 101 where something sort of unlocks. You're like, oh my God, I never noticed that actor does that one thing. Yeah, that sort of foreshadows this other thing. I love that. I love those discoveries.
I just did one for The Tomb of Ligeia for Kino Lorber, and I've seen that movie 15, 20 times. It's one of my favorite movies. And I was discovering things that were right there in the frame that I'd never seen before. I was looking at it big, so I was really feeling enveloped by the picture, and I could see little details. And I'm going to point out some very interesting things that may indicate other ways the story may have been considered, other turns of the story that might have been considered that they didn't end up following. So it's always a treat when I discover something new in doing this work.
Absolutely. And but before we jump right in, give us sort of an idea of where you sort of came into the world as a cinema expert. I mean, you launched. It was way before Video Watchdog was even launched. I know you were in the trenches as a film fan.
I was doing it for a long time before I got really serious about it. I was like a writer and a film critic for my school paper from the time I was a freshman. Wow. It was just a niche to sort of get into. It's something that I could be within the context of high school. And I started writing for Cinefantastique magazine when I was 15. And I ended up writing for them for about 11 years, but it took a few years for me to get serious enough to actually try to do something longer than just a short notice, a thumbnail review. So when I started doing feature articles, I started having to, think in different directions. But I don't think I really got truly serious about the work until about 1980. So that was the difference between, I started in 72. And so by 8 years later, which is pretty slow, I was getting to the point where I was starting to do articles for Heavy Metal magazine. And my editors there were pushing me to do something new, something that would sort of engage with the personality of that publication, which was very forward thinking and daring. Yeah. And I remember that I did an article where I was interviewing George Romero, David Cronenberg, Joe Dante, and John Carpenter. And wow. I had this concept that these guys were the avatars of what I called the new mythology of like horror characters in cinema. Mm-hmm. And I think that was really the first thing that I wrote that indicated the direction that I was going to move into. And then of course founding Video Watchdog in 1990, when suddenly I had no limit on how long I could go. You know, I could fill up an entire issue with just one subject if I wanted to. Right. And so I would do these articles that would cover like 3 issues at a time. You know, so that was those were exciting times when I was sort of flying by the seat of my pants and just going on at any length, any depth that I thought the subject deserved. Yeah. And I like I said off air, I'm a fan. This is the only one I could find. I have them all over, but I'm such a fan. I really appreciate your analysis. It never feels like you're talking down to your audience. It always feels like you're sort of like, hey, we're all hanging out, mm-hmm. chatting about movies, and I love that. I think more scholarly writing should be inclusive instead of making you feel like, wait, what word is that? You know? No, I didn't come from a college background. I didn't go to college. I've been writing and since the time I was in early years of high school, and left high school early because of problems at home. So I think if I'd had that collegiate background, I might have had a more snobbish attitude. And so I think that really did work out for the benefit, because I do think that all of this stuff should be open and available to everybody that has the interest and the passion to follow it through. Yeah, absolutely. Especially genre cinema, which is very much, a lot of people consider it obviously B grade, Z grade type stuff. I think approaching it lovingly, and not in a derisive manner, but in a very much down to earth manner is the correct approach. Let me reach out to the chat real quick and check in with everybody here. Super G says, not feeling the Severin sale. Well, maybe we'll give you some recommendations today. Absolutely. Let's see. Just Dave, welcome. Hello, Dave. Ken has a question for you. I'm not sure if you can say or not say, is Black Sunday or Black Sabbath coming to UHD? Well, nobody's told me, but if they had, I wouldn't be able to say, because they really do keep us muzzled. We're muzzled by Army brass until these things are properly announced. But I know that there's been such a thing in, I think in France with Planet of the Vampires. So I think Bava would certainly lend himself very well to UHD. And I imagine that at some point they'll start taking this seriously. Yeah, hopefully. Ken has a follow-up. Is Lamberto Bava directed most of Shock? I'm not sure what the exact percentage was, but I know that throughout the filming, Mario was sort of stepping back and letting his son step forward. It was just his sort of passive-aggressive way of getting Lamberto into the director's seat. He was tentative about it, just like Mario had been back in the 1950s. And so he would say, oh, I'm not feeling so well. You can do today. And he would sort of trick him into doing things that way. So Lamberto ended up directing some of the scenes that people remember most fondly from the movie, like that scene where the kid runs down the hallway and suddenly the father is there, who rears up in his place in front of Daria Nicolodi. These, stunning little camera tricks. But I don't know an actual percentage of how much work they did, but I think maybe 40%, maybe 50%. I'm not really sure. But I think that it was somewhat more in Lamberto's favor by the time they did La Veneradille, the TV movie that they did right after that, which was Mario's last film credit.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Montag the Magician says, your commentaries are like movie school, Tim. You see things I'd never have noticed in a million years. Last heard your commentary on The Possessed. Had to take notes and write everything down.
Yeah, some people have asked me if I'm ever going to start putting the commentaries in book form, and that's something I'm thinking about. I just have to figure out how to approach it as a format, a readable format. So then you won't have to take the notes. You can just look at the book.
There you go. Are you allowed to do that? If you're like commissioned to do a commentary, you can just whatever you
I always retain copyright on my commentaries. Unless, there's a studio out there that really won't let me, but they've always been negotiable when I say I at least want to have the freedom to print this in some form, at a later date.
Right.
I want the writing and the research to remain mine, but they can use it as long as they want. So with the major studios, that's more of a consideration because those movies aren't going anywhere. But the smaller ones that jump from company to company to company, those I like to keep hold of because it's income.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeffrey writes, I discovered the Severin films during the pandemic, and I love what they put out. I'll be getting the Nuclear Bundle. All right, Jeffrey. I'm curious if anyone else is going to be getting that. And there's certainly a lot of the same type of films, so I'm very curious.
What is in the Nuclear Bundle, pray tell?
Oh, you know what? Well, we'll take a look. We'll take a look in a minute. I'll share my screen here. I have it actually keyed up right there. Why don't we take a look at it real quick? Okay, so what you get, I believe it's like $247. We get Franco's House of Lost Women, which we'll be talking about, Black Boots, Leather Whip, which we will also be discussing, Fulci's Warriors of the Year 2072, Guy McGar's Retribution, which I'm not familiar with, Joe D'Amato's Endgame, something called The Masturbating Gunman from Australia, Deodato's Raiders.
Would have to be from Australia.
Yeah.
They really go out on a limb in Australia.
They certainly do. This was a secret, but it's been revealed that it's Blood for Dracula. So that'll be available, $45. And then there's a mystery title
edition.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's your money's worth right there.
Yeah, 4K and all that stuff. Then the mystery Blu-ray title, which we won't know till Saturday. So keeping that hidden.
Well, it's certainly worthwhile.
Yeah, it's a heck of a package. Let me see here. Joel says, I remember cracking my film theory textbook back in film school and thinking I had walked into Latin class. Yes, it could feel that way. It could feel that sometimes. It can be very, very dense. Tom, welcome.
Hi, Tom.
Franco Stein says, big fan of Video Watchdog. Miss it terribly.
Thank you, Franco Stein.
Yes, we all do. GK says, is there a list of the commentaries you have done?
There is actually, and I keep updating it. I did have it on my notes page on my Facebook page, but then Facebook in their wisdom got rid of the notes page. So I have had to scramble and find another place for it. I think we're going to start putting it on the homepage at the Video Watchdog site. But we haven't done that yet. Gotcha.
So stay tuned for that. I'll put the link. Actually, I think I have the link for the Video Watchdog in the description of the video if you guys want to go over there and check out the site, all the fun stuff there. Zach is in the house. Welcome, Zach. I'm definitely getting the Apocalypse Bundle. Post-apocalyptic is one of my favorite genres. Okay, well, then you're set. And Zach, I'm going to be reaching out to you on another topic. I just got some good news, and we'll be discussing that soon. Completely off topic, but let's see. He says, Video Watchdog is on my coffee table. There you go. There you go. Eternal Melancholy says, I'm late. I'm glad you're live. Welcome back. Yes, I took a little trip to Disney. but I'm back and raring to go. And you're not late. We're just about to get started here. Let me see. Joel says, Tim, what are some of your favorite films that you've done commentaries for? I hope this question isn't super boring.
Well, the one that I always go to is my very favorite because it was just the most fun for me, was the Alain Rougré box set that the BFI brought out in the UK. There was 5 different Alain Rougré movies. Very, very difficult films, but I've always loved Rougré as a novelist, and it was just sheer pleasure to go through them. And I've got a whole shelf in my closet that's nothing but books about Rougré, published in France and in English here in America. So I had lots of references to go through, and I was able to create like viewers' guides to the movies to help people in, because they're not easy movies to approach. But I just said these movies are constructed to be like a game, and games are supposed to be fun, so let's have fun. And I tried to make the movies as enjoyable as possible. And when I listen to my voice on those commentaries too, I think, boy, I was really happy when I was recording these. It really communicates itself. And sometimes when I record things, I have to do it like late at night. Sometimes I will record a whole commentary and I sound so bad that I'll re-record it. And fortunately, I can do that because I script everything in advance. But I love that one. And I was able to do another Rougré movie for Cine Epics that's going to be coming out soon in their Sylvia Christel box set. It's called Playing with Fire. So, and I love, the Mario Bava commentaries that I've done, I really like. I'm especially fond, I think, of Black Sabbath and Planet of the Vampires, and also $5 for an August Moon, oddly enough, because that's not, generally seen as one of his better movies, but I really like it. And that was a kind of a breakthrough commentary for me, because I started asking myself, okay, why is this shot why does it look the way it looks? What is he going for here? And the movie began to talk to me in ways that they hadn't before. So I was learning my job, and something really started coming through with that one. So I'm proud of that one.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's a very good way to put it. Guys, we only have Tim for about an hour, so I know everyone has a lot of questions. I'm going to take one more, and then we're going to jump into Severin here.
Okay.
Ken asks, how long was your prep for Good, Bad, Ugly commentary?
It was done from beginning to end in 2 weeks.
Wow, that's pretty good. Pretty good. That was so short.
It's like a 3-hour movie too.
One of the best. It's actually probably my favorite Western of all time.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Kubrick, welcome. I'll get your question in. He says, did Gruyère write the screenplay for Reynolds' last year?
He did. In fact, it's published in book form, and if you read it, you'll see that it's all right there on the paper. It's much more his movie, really, than Alain René's.
Wow.
It looks and plays just like Rougré's first movie, which was called The Immortal, which was made, I think, 1 year after Last Year at Marienbad. I think they were actually produced simultaneously, which is why Rougré never got to go to the set. But yeah, it's true.
And then might as well. Esteban, welcome. He says VW is so missed. Nothing came close before nor since. Still have all my issues in binders and treasure them like good old friends. How does Tim feel about today's publishing scene, or lack thereof?
That's a big question. And it's something I'd probably feel more comfortable writing about than talking about. It's a shame to see great magazines go. Cinefex recently announced that they were discontinuing publication. Monsters from the Vault has been promising a last issue now for about 5 years. Little Shop of Horrors is still out there. When magazines become websites, I think that's depressing.
Yeah.
I love magazines, but I really think that the DVD and Blu-ray business has sort of incorporated film scholarship, and that as the magazines are disappearing, that research is going into the DVDs and Blu-rays that are coming out as commentaries and extras and featurettes.
Yeah.
So it's becoming a form of entertainment. It's very select entertainment. It's very incisive much of the time, but it's also the relationship between a person sitting down with a book, holding something in their hand and taking something internally. The process goes a little deeper, I think, when it's printed. So yeah, I wish something could happen to bring it back, but I don't really see time going back that way.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but time marches on as it is. Okay, by the way, everybody watching, do me a favor and drop a thumbs up on this. This helps the whole YouTube algorithm situation. That would really help the video and all that good stuff. And if you're new here, please subscribe. Your Philly Neighborhood Mastercast is trying to get to 1,500 subscribers before July 5th, because that is my 1-year anniversary of going daily for an entire year. And I'd love to get there at 1,500, but only if you're new here, because if you're not, then you've already subscribed. Okay, Tim, let's tackle Severin. How would you like to do this? I sent you a list of stuff. Do you want to just pick and choose where you want to start?
Well, let's start out with, I actually watched 2 Franco films last night just to refresh myself, because some of the titles were, if you were going to ask me about stories or something like that, I mean, that's like the first information I forget about a movie. Anyway, last night I looked at The House of Lost Women and Black Boots, Leather Whip. Which are 2 of the titles that are coming up. And so I imagine that since these are fairly obscure Franco titles for a lot of people, I think people would like to know, what can I expect? And these are both golden film productions from his early 1980s period. I think they're both 1983, 82 or 83. And this is when Franco was beginning to create a sort of alternate version of himself, a Sergeant Pepper's version of himself. He would make movies as Clifford Brown, or he would sometimes work under his own name. But the actors, Antonio Mayans became Robert Forster. Robert Foster, because there was already a Robert Forster.
Right.
And Lena Romay became Candy Coster. And she wore a blonde wig, this really cute sort of bob, blonde wig, and that was her alternate persona. So they were no longer who they thought, because I guess their reputations were getting bad. They were overexposed, especially Lena, so they started to make these movies look like something other than what they were and trick people in. But they are both pretty remarkable movies, I think. These are not top 10 Franco titles, but one or even both might be top 20, top 30. And, so you're talking about a man here who's directed almost 200 movies in different variants. Yeah. So when you're saying top 10, top 20, top 30, you're talking about like the top 5 for any other director.
Right.
So anyway, to start with Black Boots, Leather Whip, this is one of Franco's detective thrillers about a character named Al Pereira, who's a private eye who was in Franco films going all the way back to Attack of the Robots, the Eddie Constantine movie from 1965 or 66. And Franco revived this character again in the early 70s with Howard Vernon playing the character. And in that movie, Al Pereira, who's like this happy-go-lucky private eye character when Eddie Constantine was playing him, becomes a more embittered, cynical private eye. And so his films really become film noir. But they're very colorful. They're not shot with a lot of atmospherics like the first one was, which was in black and white. But there is a consistency about them, especially once Antonio Mayans begins to play Al Pereira, which he did over a number of films. In fact, Franco's last 2 features had Antonio playing Al Pereira in the title role. So here, when the movie starts, he's in trouble immediately. He's got to come up with a lot of money, or he's going to get killed, or his legs are going to be broken or something. And then suddenly, just when he's like throwing clothes into a suitcase, getting ready to get out of town, Lena Romay, as Candy Coster, as the character she's playing, arrives at his door, and she promises him enough money to clear his obligations to whoever loaned him the money. And if he will only go to a place and pick up a black bag with her initials on it and bring it back to her, she'll save his ass. So he does this, but every step that he follows, every instruction that he takes, gets him into deeper and deeper trouble. It's really interesting. At the beginning of the movie, this is like Paul McCartney's birthday, right? When you look at this movie, Antonio has like longish black hair and a mustache. And I don't really think Antonio Mayans looks like Paul McCartney, but Antonio Mayans with a mustache and shaggy hair looks like Paul McCartney. So it's like seeing Paul McCartney playing a private eye.
Wow.
And then he has to sort of go undercover. So Franco inserts this little scene where you see Antonio shave his mustache and trim his hair in front of the mirror. And you see him do this. It's kind of like a scene that's done with the actor Jack Taylor in Female Vampire, where he's trimming his mustache. It's a little private look at male vanity. And surprisingly, Antonio comes out looking completely different when he's shaved. There's a very interesting scene in the movie where Al Pereira is like, it's over his head, the trouble that he's in, and he gets into a room where there's a woman waiting there with a whip, and she beats him with this whip. And the thing is that the actress who plays the part of this character, whose name is Bruta, she looks very much like the female dominatrix. Her stance is exactly that of Jeanine Reynaud in the German poster for Necronomicon, Succubus. Like all dressed in black. She's got this whip there, and she's beating the hell out of him. And the actress who plays this part did not, I guess, want to be credited under her own name. So she's billed in the film as Lorna Green, which is the name of the character that Jeanine Reynaud played in Succubus 20 years earlier. So he really is becoming very meta with this movie. And it's not a great Franco film, but if you love Franco, you love the movie because you love the people that are in it. They're familiar, and you love the characters they're playing because they're familiar. It's like comfort food for a Franco fan. So so that would be my comment on Black Boots, Leather Whip.
Okay.
House of Lost Women. In a career of almost 200 movies, this is a unique film for Franco. It's a very odd movie. There was some speculation, I think, that came from Franco himself that Jean-Claude Carrière, who had worked on The Diabolical Dr. Z and also Attack of the Robots before he began working with Luis Buñuel. And there was some speculation that this story idea came from him. It's the story of a sort of average Spanish family, which is Antonio Mayans, again, as Robert Foster, plays a sort of middle-aged, retired actor. He's almost like an Ingmar Bergman-like character. He's very neurotic. All he can do is reminisce about the old days. And what he reminisces about is highly suspect. You don't really believe half of what he's talking about, but he's off in this theatrical world that he reminisces about. His wife is some sort of ex-prostitute, and she's always strutting around, in a very sexual way. His daughter, his 18-year-old daughter, who's played by Lena Romay as Candy Coster, is a nymphomaniac, and she's masturbating through the whole movie. And she's trying to get close to her father. Why do we have this stepmother? We don't need this stepmother. And then there's also another member of the family who is what we should probably call a special child, a difficult child. She is a very cantankerous, slow-witted woman, who is also like discovering the joys of self-pleasure, and there's a scene where Lena sort of gives her instruction because she's not doing it right by using this stupid doll's head. But what this movie is, as it goes on, it starts out as a cartoon, it's very much like a live action cartoon. And I really do believe that Franco was trying to make his version of a Pedro Almodovar movie. I really think that these are very much like Pedro Almodovar characters and situations. All these ridiculous, campy, high drama tensions in this household. And there's one sex scene in the movie. It's not really a sex scene. It doesn't start out that way. It's sort of a punishment scene between the stepmother and the nymphomaniac teenager. And all through the whole thing, the only dialogue is coming from the TV set. And you can tell by the subtitles that the characters are called JR and Sue Ellen. So it's like Dallas is on TV in the background in Spanish. It's like dubbed in Spanish.
Wow.
And going on. And as Antonio Mayans looks at the newspaper, he's disgusted with everything he sees. Margaret Thatcher's getting married, all these things going on. And so there's a lot of ranting and raving against what people accept as entertainment, as good entertainment. And as the movie goes on, it becomes more and more serious. And then finally, there are scenes where Lena Romay, I think that she probably gives one of her top 5 performances in this movie. She is shattering at some points. She lets you so much into her character just by, being available to the camera. And I'm not talking about her body. I'm just talking about her face, her emotions. She really lets you in and shows you some true things. There's also a scene in the movie where she loses her virginity. And if you look at like Black Boots' Leather Whip, whenever she has sex she speaks in a very low volume throughout the movie. But whenever she has sex, she is so loud that every animal in the immediate area takes flight. If they show animals running away, birds flying away, she just can't contain herself, and it's a joke. But in this movie, she plays it straight when you at least expect it, and it's startling. And then Antonio Mayans at the end of the movie has a long soliloquy, and there's nobody there to hear him. Everyone has abandoned him. And I really think that this is Franco looking at his own career in the 1980s and saying, after all I've given, why is there no one here at this point in time for me? He's making very cheap movies, doing everything he can and everything he can think of to entertain people. But at this point in his career, there wasn't much left for him. There weren't any opportunities. So I think it's a revealing movie. to that extent also. So I think there's an awful lot to be explored in House of Lost Women.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, I was not interested at all, but you have kind of sold me on it. You on both films, they sound quite interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing that hidden depth in Lost Women, and Black Boots sounds way more interesting now than, because I had no idea what they were about at all. I never even heard of them. So
when Lena is meeting Antonio Mayans in Black Boots, she says, "Come here. I'm not contagious. Or are you feeling funny about being with a porno artist?" I love dialogue like that. And that's another thing about that movie. There's a sort of hidden depth to Black Boots as well that I forgot to mention. That there's a couple of characters in that film that they're married characters, and there's tension between them because Lena's character is like, she does like sex acts on stage, and we go to a discotheque and we see one of her acts, and she does all these things that are implied, but we don't see anything really. It's just the people in the theater and various shots of her head, and that's it. You know, we don't see anything graphic at all. But the movie begins to explore the tensions between the couple because the man senses that a woman has had a relationship that means a little more to her, and she's explaining to him, this is just my performing. You know, I'm just being an actor. And when you think about the things that Jess and Lena would have gone through in their own lives with staging things like this for the camera, just makes you think that Jess might have written a scene like this because it was something that came up in their own lives. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. David Finn says, here for Tim Lucas talking Jess Franco.
Well, you're getting an earful.
Mike Barrett says, Tim Lucas talking about Lena Romay, amazing.
Thank you, Mike.
And Zach copies that. So amazing. It sounds like a lot of folks are being sold here on these two titles. So I'm excited. I think we're good. I really I'm kind of excited to watch these now. What would you like to jump into next?
Well, you want to run through some different titles of that are also going to be available in the Severin sale, and
yeah. Why don't we talk about Joe D'Amato's Endgame and Deodato's Raiders of Atlantis?
Not my stuff.
Gotcha. Okay,
I'm sorry, but I just got. I draw a complete blank on most.
Well, the only okay, so let's stick with the Franco stuff then. This is these are going to be on sale, by the way, guys. The ones we just talked about are not on sale. They're coming out next week, so those will be full price. You'll have to wait till next week.
It's a shame that Bahia Blanca was just done as a very limited release, because that's a wonderful movie, and it was just brought out as part of a package. And I would hope that at some point they might be able to re-release it and give it proper availability, because it's a wonderful little movie. It really is.
Yeah, I'd heard about that one. That's definitely on our list. I mean, sometimes Severin will drop stuff that's out of print, that they'll drop it during the sale. Is that something that someone should pick up?
Absolutely. I mean, I missed the actual sale, and it became unavailable, so I had to go to eBay and spend a couple of $100, and I consider it worthwhile to have that package and everything that was in it.
Okay, great. Let's talk about Soledad Miranda and Vampiros Lesbos and She Killed in Ecstasy. Those are older titles, but they'll be on sale, guys, if you haven't picked them up. What are your thoughts on those?
Vampiros Lesbos is an amazing film. It gained a lot of notoriety because it has this fantastic psychedelic score that Franco had actually taken from an album that was released in Germany. It was just instrumental, psychedelic, playful music, but he synced it up to his images, and the results were incredible. what I especially love about Vampiros Lesbos, despite Soledad Miranda's performance, which is really compelling, is the way Franco began to use his detriments to his benefit. He would put things into a scene to suggest other things. For example, if you look at the arrival of the heroine at the Countess's home, which is not your usual Transylvania castle, it's a beachfront cottage with lounge chairs, and the Countess is sitting there with sunglasses and a bikini. But all of the trappings from Todd Browning's Dracula are there. There are cutaways to a scorpion skittering across the ground. There are shots of gulls in the sky, which are like the bats around outside Dracula's castle. There's this huge fish net, which is the spider web that we see over the stairs. So he's taking things and he says, well, we're not going to do that. We're going to do something like that. So he wants to present things to you that you can read in the same way, maybe subconsciously rather than consciously. But it's a very ambitious thing. There's a scene in his movie, this is not a Severin title, but A Virgin Among the Living Dead, which takes place in a place that's not even where we think we are. At the beginning, the woman who comes there talks to this woman who appears to be the tavern keeper. But later we find out that she's like the doctor that's presiding over her psychiatry. She's like in a completely deranged state of mind. So she's not seeing things as they are. So we see everything as she's seeing them. And then at the end, we get this Shutter Island type of revelation about, oh, this is what we were really seeing back then. And then we can reprocess everything that we've seen. But Franco was experimenting with those kinds of ideas back then. And I think that's one of the most interesting things about him as a filmmaker, that he was really playing with the perceptions of the viewer. And also with the trappings of genre. He was showing how flexible they could be, so that if he wasn't in a studio set, but he had access to this beach, he could provide it with everything with its own analogy, and maybe come up with a new mythos.
Right. Yeah, that's great. I'm with Tim there. I highly recommend those movies if you don't have them. Soledad is just beautiful, and yes, it's a shame she died so young.
Yeah, and it's funny when you see her in other people's work too. I mean, she's really nothing like that. She's nothing like the person that we see in Franco's film. She becomes a very different kind of person. And when we see Franco's films, we think, oh, he really understood her. But she's being an actress. She's fulfilling what she's asked to do and doing it tremendously. It's also really great to look at the documentary that was made about the filming of Count Dracula, Quadbook Vampire. You get to see lots of little behind the scenes things like Jack Taylor lifting up Soledad Miranda and laying her in the coffin because she can't get up there herself. She's a tiny little thing, So he's actually putting her in the coffin. And years later, when he gave an interview, he said that he sometimes remembers that, because she died so young. And he once got like a feeling because he was driving past the area where she actually died on the road. Wow. He realized afterwards. And then this little image from his past came back to him of putting her into a coffin.
Oh, gosh.
This is profound stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wow. You mentioned Count Dracula, Christopher Lee's portrayal of Count Dracula for Jess Franco. Tell me a little bit about that one. I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Count Dracula?
I've not.
Oh, well, it was when it was made, it was professed to be the most accurate adaptation of the novel to date, and it might be, but it also seems to go off track pretty early on. There are just scenes that really don't need to be there. There's like a train station, and suddenly the train conductor becomes a character for a minute. Things like that. And it's the Harry Allen Towers years when he seemed to have a lot of recurring actors. Herbert Lom, Dennis Price. I might be wrong about Dennis Price, but Herbert Lom, obviously Maria Rome, Harry Allen Towers' wife, was in it. But you see a lot of the same people. Paul Mueller, also. But Christopher Lee gives a fantastic performance in the role. And some of it is very well done. I mean, there's a story that I was told by a friend of Christopher Lee's who said that when he worked with her and did the scene where he had to bite her in the neck, he told Franco afterwards, he says, "I've played this scene many times, but this girl's giving me something that no one's ever given me before." So he was impressed by what she was doing. And that's not considered one of her outstanding roles, but she's very good in it. There's a sort of notorious scene in the movie, actually a couple. One is of Klaus Kinski, another of the Harry Allen Towers regulars, who's like throwing slop on his asylum wall as Renfield. He's playing Renfield.
Wow.
And you can actually see the movie camera, the shadow of the handheld movie camera, and the cinematographer being reflected on the wall beside him. And Franco would actually fly right in the face of little things like that. There's one of his movies. I can't remember. I think it's Suicide Games in Casablanca, where he actually sees himself like in the camera when two people are like in front of a bathroom mirror, a medicine chest mirror, and he's there, and he doesn't even try to step out of the shot. And there's another scene in the same movie where he's like photographing a scene that was taken in a public location, without permission, and someone in the background of the shot like sees what's going on and becomes very fascinated and just watches it and ruins the shot. So Franco ends up zooming right into the face of this idiot for ruining the shot. So you have to be aware that what you're seeing is a movie. And that's why I say, in terms of like Black Boots, Leather Whip, it's if you love Franco, you love these people, and so you'll love the movie just as entertainment. It's going to be entertainment because it's this little universe that he's created, and it's a universe that consists of something like 50, 60 movies in some cases. It's not like a Christopher Nolan universe, which establishes itself after 4 or 5 movies.
Right. Well, okay, great. So Count Dracula is definitely a grab then.
I think it's worthwhile. I don't think it's going to be anybody's favorite Dracula movie, but okay, it's definitely interesting. And Klaus Kinski's very intense, and Christopher Lee is terrific. So yeah, I think it's worth seeing, and it's got a great Bruno Nicolai score.
Okay. Fantastic. All right. Well, I'm going to add that to the list. I mean, I was curious about it, but now I'm sold. So there's one that I've always loved the title. I've never watched it, but I'd love to get your thoughts on it. The Sadist of Notre Dame.
Yeah, that movie is like a it was made in 1979, and it's a revision of a movie that he made in 1974. That already existed in 2 versions. There was like a straight version, and then there was a sort of hardcore porno version. Okay. That was called Sexorcism. But it's an unusual movie in that Franco himself, who would usually play character roles, if anything, in his movies, took the lead role. And so he's sort of like a Peter Lorre character. He's not killing children, but he's like this defrocked priest who goes around killing women who he thinks, are, sinful, a disgrace to the church and whatever. And at the same time, he moonlights, I should say, moonlights as a writer for an S&M magazine. So he's writing stories about the murders that he's committing and selling them and commercializing them. I'm not sure exactly what happened with the release of that movie, but at some point Franco thought that he would revise it and create a new movie out of it. Maybe he had like an opportunity to make a movie and so thought, well, I've already got pieces of this, and this is something I could do with just myself, But it's interesting in its own way. And Stephen Thrower, who's written the book or books on Just Franco, at this point, holds that movie actually in higher esteem than the earlier two. And the last time I watched the movie, I thought that he might have a point.
Oh, okay, great. So it's definitely worth a watch if somebody wants to explore Just Franco a little better then.
Mm-hmm. Very much. Excellent.
Now there's a title that I it just keeps running through my head because it's such a unique title and it sort of speaks to Franco's cinema. I'd like to know more about it. It's Two Female Spies with Flowered Panties. What is going on there?
What is going on there? It's kind of like Al Pereira, it's like a character that goes all the way back, and he loved the idea of two female private eyes, on some ridiculous case that usually takes them, into the porno underworld, especially later on in the movies. It was actually Just Franco's second feature as a director was called Labios Rojos, or Red Lips. And Red Lips was the name that he gave to a detective agency that was run by two beautiful women. And that movie, which was, a black and white movie that never really got outside Spain, or Spain and France, I should say, was followed up by two back-to-back movies that he made in the later 1960s. There was one that was called Sadist Erotica, which was also, I think it's now called Two Undercover Angels. And then there was the accompanying feature, which was called Kiss Me Monster. And he shot these films back to back. And sometimes, I guess, scenes that he shot for one ended up in the other. They're very, they flow within back and forth with one another. And that was Janine Reno and Rossana Yanni from the Paul Naschy films, playing the two characters. And those are very lively pop art, fun movies. But as Franco went on in time through the 70s and the early 80s, he would reintroduce these characters periodically in movies with titles like Pickup Girls and Two Female Spies with Flowered Panties. As in Two Undercover Angels, the detectives go undercover in some sort of a strip joint, and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, you pretty much know what you're getting kind of with that title, I think. At least you have a good idea. Similar to another of his films called The Night of Open Sex.
Night of Open Sex. That's another Al Pereira movie, but it's an Al Pereira movie in disguise. He's I forget the name they give him, but it's like Al something else. It's like Al. But it's Antonio Mayans and Lena Romay back in action. That movie has one of his most outrageous music devices. We'll talk about Cries of Pleasure in a minute. There's a song that was written for the film, and I guess Jess came up with the title himself. But all throughout the movie, this song keeps playing like it's the #1 hit on the radio, and the words go, "The taste, 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 taste of your sperm. The taste, 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 taste of your sperm."
Yeah. Billboard top. Yeah.
Yeah. It could be a hit today.
Wow.
Yeah, but there's it's an interesting movie. Some of it's very melancholy. It's got some real film noir aspects to it. But it's this very it still has like the tail end of the disco era about it, so the music is always thumping. And there's a scene where Lena does this erotic striptease, lying down. Franco loves to have the women like lie down on the stage and perform rather than stand up for some reason. He does that in a lot of movies. But I remember that the story revolves around a cache of like stolen Nazi gold.
Oh, okay.
And because there's no budget, it looks like Franco like took all of the books from his home library and wrapped them in golden Christmas wrapping paper. And so you see stacks of gold, and they're obviously just like Christmas presents without ribbons on them.
Wow.
But it's a fun movie. It's like the other thing. Al Crosby, that's the name they give him in this thing.
Oh,
maybe
okay.
because he gets killed. Al Pereira gets killed in one movie, so maybe he became Al Crosby in the next.
There you go.
It could be that, but Al Pereira lives on.
There you go. Is it sort of a similar case with this one, Cries of Pleasure? It's kind of the same cast.
It is the same cast, but it's a very different movie. It's supposedly based on something written by the Marquis de Sade.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think it is, but it's a very Sadian conceit. But what's really interesting about the film is that Franco went into it making a game out of it. He wanted to make a movie that was just like a whole series. He wanted to tell the whole series. I should say, I'm sorry. He wanted to tell the whole story in a series of long shots,
okay,
extended takes. And so instead of having edits throughout the film, the zoom goes in and out, moves around. So it's a very fluid film, and it was probably shot very quickly because, it might have even been shot in a day, 2 days, whatever, because it's maybe 30, 40 shots in the entire movie. Wow. And it works. He's got this beautiful location, and you get a sense of eavesdropping on the story from afar.
Gotcha.
He later made another movie that was called The Sexual Story of O, that I think he remade even once more, which was all about the relationship between a voyeur and the exhibitionist that they're observing from afar, and the communication between the two of them. And it's kind of like that. You see things from a distance, and it's as I'm remembering now, I think it had something to do with being a remake of sorts of Eugenie, her story, the story of her journey into perversion, which is all about a party at this isolated place near a beachfront, and someone is murdered. Someone is like the object of the party is to murder this one person, because it's like this Sadian organization or cult that's revealed. So it's one of his most ambitious movies, and it's one of his more erotic movies. A lot of Franco's erotic movies are not erotic because he's ironic about it. He's not interested in turning you on as much as he's like interested in showing you how absurd this way is that people communicate and use each other.
Right. Well, we're just at the hour, and I know you need to go. So I'll just ask you one.
We can go on a little bit more. We can go on for another 15 minutes or so.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, if you guys have questions, I saw some questions for Tim in the comments. I'm going to highlight those in a minute. I'm just going to ask him two more here from Severin Sale, and then we'll jump into your questions, guys. Tell me about Shining Sex. Is that sort of in the same ballpark?
Shining Sex is, I would say, top 10, maybe top 15.
Wow.
It's a science fiction movie, and I've seen it numerous times, but the way I saw it mostly was without subtitles. I didn't really know what was going on. But with the Severin release, I was able to finally follow the story and see what was there, and see the image the way it should be seen. I mean, it's a beautiful looking disc, but it reminds me a lot of The Man Who Fell to Earth, and was, I think, actually made first.
Wow.
It's there's a sense of alienation about the movie to begin with. You don't really get close to the characters who are in it. The characters that you like are so silly that you don't want to get close to them, and the people that intrigue you are just so non-human that you don't want to get too close to them. So you get a real sense of distance from the movie, and it's shot from a lot of strange angles, and it sort of predicts the AIDS virus and epidemic as well, because it's about a sexually, like these people have sex with aliens, and it gives them this communicable decaying disease.
Wow.
And the title Shining Sex comes from the way this disease shows itself. It's like people begin to glisten. So it's very odd.
Wow.
So a very unusual, intriguing movie. And if you look at it just in the context of science fiction movies and science fiction movies of the Star Wars era, it's a very unusual and daring piece.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had no idea that it was science fiction-y. That's kind of cool. Okay, lastly, I'm curious about Bloody Moon, because it's kind of a different thing for him, especially for Severin to carry. It's I haven't watched it, but it's one that's on my list to get. And from what I understand, it's kind of his, maybe not his last, but it's essentially a slasher movie, right?
Yes. I think it's sort of his takeoff on slasher movies, but it's kind of like House of Lost Women, in the sense that it is Franco sort of railing against, how are people putting up with this? How are people accepting this as their entertainment? Is this really what you want? It's one of his last movies that's made with a really decent budget. I think it was that, and then he went back into his own sort of independent movie mode until he made Faceless at the end of the 80s. But it's really well produced. It has like a major score. They actually released a single, from the movie in Germany, I believe. But it's about a disfigured kid, who goes around killing teenage girls. They're always inane teenage girls, and during one of the murder scenes, he's wearing a Mickey Mouse mask. So Franco is like flaunting copyright rule, and
right.
He's just giving the finger to the Disney lawyers.
Sure.
It's actually got some very eerie scenes in it. He shoots some of the scenes of the discovery of the dead bodies with a real flair. And if you look at the beginning of the Almodovar movie Matador, they use scenes from this movie side by side with shots from Mario Bava's Blood and Black Lace.
Oh, wow.
And it's all these murder shots, and they actually look like they have something stylistically in common, the two of them. So I think it's very well made. But if you look at it as a serious attempt to do what it's doing, then it doesn't stand up as well as if you realize that he's making fun of the whole process, and at the same time showing how it could be done if people gave a damn.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, great. Now I'm sold on that as well. This has been an amazing masterclass in Franco. I'm much more excited to check his stuff out. So I appreciate that. Let's talk to the chat. Nicomedes says, Tim Lucas, your Mario Baba commentaries are amazing. I have them all and love them all, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, people love it. I'm Jeffrey's asking, what about Retribution? Are you familiar with that film? Guy Madar?
I'm not. No.
Yeah. It's new for me too. I've never seen it. It's going to be most likely a blind buy. Montag says, is Tim a fan of the Strike Commando movies?
The word striking commando would probably discourage me from watching a movie. So no, I'm afraid I haven't seen them.
Yes, I can understand that. I haven't seen them either, but most likely I'll pick them up on a sale. David says, Virgin Among Living Dead top 10 Franco for him.
I would have to agree.
That's a good one. Mike asks, what does Tim think of The Devil Came from Akasawa?
That was one of Soledad Miranda's last movies, and so it's precious for her being in it. It's based on an Edgar Wallace story.
Oh, okay.
Actually, the story is part of the Colonel Sanders. That sounds like the chicken guy, but this is the sort of African, whatever he was. He was some sort of a military bloke that was sent down to Africa to straighten things out and to colonize the villages in Africa. But it's something about the discovery of a mineral that melts things down, and so people are trying to get this and co-opt it and make some money off of it. So it's stylistically a little loud, a little over flashy, but Soledad has some great striptease scenes in the movie, and so it's not one of my favorites, but again, the music is really good, and it's from that great period. It's like I think She Killed in Ecstasy, which was the last one that they made, is much better. I think Soledad worked better in horror than she worked with adventure and mystery, that kind of stuff. Gotcha. She's always sort of low key in those films. She's I think because she's less the focus. The focus is more on the leading man, who tends to be someone dull like Fred Williams, So Devil Came from Akasawa, good for her scenes, but not much else.
Not much else. Copy that. Again, just to remind everybody watching, make sure you drop a thumbs up on this. It really helps. And if you're new here, subscribe. Your Fellow Neighborhood Mastercast is covering the Severin sale all through next week, starting right now with Mr. Tim Lucas. So I hope you'll stick around. We'll have some fun.
We have to talk about Andy Milligan.
We do have to talk about Andy Milligan. You're right.
Okay. Here's a question.
Yes. Let's take a look at this. Hi, Mr. Chaos, and thanks for having Tim Lucas. Well, my pleasure. It really is. What does Tim think of Stephen Thrower's book? And what are your top 3 Franco titles?
Those books are just beyond belief. I mean, I think they're superb. There were cases when I was reading them and I thought, I don't quite agree with this. I remember in particular reading the chapter on Lucky the Inscrutable, which was a movie that I liked, and he was, really dissing it. And I went back and looked at the film and I thought, Jesus, he's absolutely right. What was I responding to? It may have something to do with looking at a movie that exists in like 3 different versions in different languages. Some convey themselves better. Sometimes you watch a movie without subtitles, and it's a better movie than it is once you see what the characters are actually saying, once you hear them dubbed. So I don't know. But when I finally saw the movie again after reading the chapter, I thought, damn, he's actually dead on about this. So that alone, but also just the sheer research that went into nailing down the dates of production, the order in which these films were made, even the sort of piecemeal way that some films were made over a period of time and then assembled. It's hard to think of anything else that required quite as much concentration as the two books that he did. I think they're superb, and I think they belong in every serious library about this kind of film.
Amazing. What would be your, it's probably hard, but what would be your top 3 Franco titles?
It is, I would say Virgin Among the Living Dead, Diabolical Dr. Z, perhaps, and Lorna the Exorcist.
Oh, okay.
Lorna the Exorcist. Also, there are just so many that I like for so many different reasons. It's really hard to narrow things down to so few.
Yeah.
Because there's such a sheer variety of the films. I mean, the one we were talking about earlier, House of Lost Women, I think deserves that kind of serious consideration because it's just so unlike anything else he did. There's another movie that he made, and I believe that it's a Severin title, but I've forgotten the name of the thing. Symphonia Erotica.
Oh, Erotica? Yeah.
Yes, Symphony Erotica. That's a really intriguing movie too, because it doesn't really look like Franco's work, and I like the movie because it seems to create a director that didn't exist before. It's like he went about shooting that movie and saying, okay, now where would I normally put the camera to tell this story? Okay, this is where it would be. Let's put the camera here then. It's like he was being spontaneous about doing something everything that he wouldn't normally do, and tell a story from a different kind of perspective. And it ended up to be, a very interesting movie.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, there you go. There's another recommendation for you guys. Well, one more question, then we're going to jump into Milligan and wrap things up. Conrad Steves says, hi, Tim. You have been watching television westerns for a while now, and curious if all this viewing is for your own pleasure, or are you working on a project for the genre?
I'm not. And in hindsight, I kind of wish that when I was going through Gunsmoke episodes last year, that I wish that I'd sort of written a thumbnail about each episode, because then I would have a book now, and I could be selling it to all the Gunsmoke fans out there. There's a big TV Western fandom base. But I'm watching them with my wife, and it's just one of the few things that we're interested in watching together. And right now we're going through Cheyenne episodes and finding them very enjoyable. I really love the groups of actors who recur in these things. L.Q. Jones, Leo Gordon, all these people. There's so many people. Jack Elam, actors that I'm used to seeing in feature films, and sometimes you'll see them pop up in one episode of a Western on television, and it'll be like the best work they've ever done. So there's a lot to discover in looking at TV Westerns. So I'm having a great time with that, but not for any particular end game in mind. No. Yeah.
Sorry. No secret. No secret behind it right now, guys. Jeffrey says, I love the Milligan set. So let's segue into that. I've got the set. I was fairly familiar with Milligan. I have a lot of the Something Weird DVDs from back in the day. But yeah, on Blu-ray was a huge revelation, and I actually was surprised how much I enjoyed it. Tell me your thoughts on Milligan in general, I guess.
Well, I've been sort of discovering his work over a long period of time. There was a local mom and pop video store back in the 80s in my neighborhood. And one night we popped in there, to get an emergency jug of milk, and some bread on the way home. And they had a little video area in the background, and I went back there to poke around, and I saw all of these, like midnight video titles, like the Andy Milligan stuff, the Herschel Gordon Lewis stuff. And it was like discovering heaven, in the back room of this store. So I started renting these things. I hadn't been able to see any Andy Milligan stuff theatrically when it was around. I did see a trailer for The Rats Are Coming, The Werewolves Are Here, and I remember just not believing what I was seeing because for one thing, it looked like 8mm blown up to 35. Never mind 16 to 35, and the acting was like from another planet. I'd never really seen anything like it. So when these movies became available to me, I started watching them, and I'd read like a few critical comments about them that really got my curiosity. Joe Dante had written this famous line about how they look like home movies from Bedlam that have been processed in a bathtub full of dirty water. That sells a ticket. I'll be the first in line for that. And I had done an issue of Video Watchdog about Ed Wood's movies, and they had really taken the soul out of me. I didn't enjoy doing Ed Wood for some reason. There are only a couple of his movies that I really like to watch for enjoyment. Like there's Glen or Glenda, and then Revenge of the Ghouls, or is it Return of the Ghouls? One of those.
Oh yeah. Night of the Ghouls, I think.
Night of the Ghouls. Okay. That I think is more interesting than Plan 9 from Outer Space. I mean, it's got Vampira, it's got great shots in it, it's got Tor Johnson, but I don't think it holds up as a feature. Right. So I thought, I'm seeing connections between these Milligan's movies. I'm going to follow this, to the end and see where it takes me. And that's when I discovered that there was a real artist, working in these movies. He was a very cantankerous, hateful, frustrating man, but he was expressing himself fully. And I could see that he was doing it within the framework of the same framework that Andy Warhol was working in New York, the off Broadway scene. And I could see how the movies or the plays that he was producing on little stages in New York City were influencing his work. All of this, sadism coming out in the scenarios. And I also think that he was obviously very influenced by Todd Slaughter, the British filmmaker. That certainly comes out in Sweeney Todd, but you can see it in a lot of Todd Slaughter's other movies. He obviously knew his work really well. And I also see an awful lot of dark shadows in Andy Milligan stuff, When I saw his movie Seeds, I thought, this is just like Collinwood, A Day in Collinwood with a different cast and a much more interesting cast, really. The nymphomaniac who reads muscle magazines, and the the pyromaniac kid, and the cranky old lady in the wheelchair. Yeah, they were great. So they're very funny movies, but they are movies that you laugh at, and because I don't think it doesn't really allow much space to laugh with them. He doesn't laugh, but he's very fun to laugh at. And I love the rough edges in the movies, and the way that sometimes something genuinely creepy will come across, like that cloaked figure in the ghastly ones, just the basement where some of those murders take place in the ghastly ones. Those, the idea of other people's basements, is just very creepy, and he doesn't glitz it up in any way. He makes everything look shady and dangerous.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking also of that witch character that turns up in Guru the Mad Monk, who I think is just genuinely one of the scariest, lady monsters ever in a movie. The way that she goes to the head block after the decapitation, and licks the blood off the stone. Yeah. She's a real nightmare character. So yeah, I love the high drama and even the attempts at style, and then the absurdity that gets mixed in, like when he shows his character serving a meal at a big deluxe table, and he brings out a raw chicken, and a bowl, overflowing with just lettuce or even a head of lettuce, this is the meal that he serves, to his guests. How can you not love that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's strange to me how unique these films are, and you and I both, we've seen so many crazy films, and there's something about a Milligan movie that certainly stands out, for better or worse. Well, actually, one of my favorites is Vapors, his short film, fantastic. And I remember being really touched and really moved by how unique that movie was. And then I come to find out that he didn't really even understand the subtext of his own movie, which kind of boggled my mind. Like, well, wait a minute. I mean, I saw him as a pretty much very underground expert, or not expert, an artist. And then here he comes and delivers a movie that's very moving, very unique, and he doesn't really understand what's happening. So he's very much an artist of contradictions. You can't really pin him down.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
When I was going through the movies, it turned out to be an article that ran over 3 issues of Video Watchdog. It was like the size of a small book, the manuscript. But when I got to the final movie that I watched, it wasn't the last movie that he made. But when I saw it, I thought that Monstrosity was the last movie that he made. And with that in mind, it ends in such a poignant way because the monster, Frankie, who's played by Hal Borsky, and he's just sitting there with this street lady on this bench waiting for the bus. And then you suddenly hear Andy yell, "Cut." And they sort of pull the camera back, and you can see that it's a film set. I mean, all through his movies, you've seen little hints, that this is just a movie being made. And you get the same thing in Franco's movies. But like he would like to spin the camera, to change scenes, especially after an act of mayhem. If somebody gets the pitchfork, in the neck, the camera would spin. But if you step through those things, you can see little people, with lights, like hiding down in the darkness. So you can actually see through the illusion in all these things. But it just drove home to me at the end of Monstrosity that he was saying, yeah, for better or worse, I am an artist. And this was not only my doing, but the doing of the people who helped me. So I thought there was something unusually self-accepting and loving about that movie. I haven't gone back and looked at it a second time yet. Sometimes a movie will hit me so profoundly that I worry that won't be there the next time I look at it.
Yeah.
But I imagine that it will be. I just need to go back and look at it again.
Yeah, that happens to me too. Like I'm almost scared to rewatch it because it was such a genuinely moving situation that I'm like, if I go back, I'm going to start picking it apart analytically and that happens. Yeah.
So also because if a movie hits you that profoundly, I mean, these moments rarely come along even in life, and when you try to revisit something, it's really hard to make it come together the same way.
Right.
But sometimes it can happen, and sometimes it can lead to something else. I mean, when I was a kid and I saw Once Upon a Time in the West in the theater for the first time, I was so blown away that I refused to see any other Sergio Leone movie for like 10 years. I would only watch Once Upon a Time in the West when I had more chances, because I knew that nothing else that he did could compare to this. It just couldn't. And then when I finally got around to doing, to seeing the other movies, I saw, these are great too, but they're great in a different way, And so now it's been like at least 10, maybe 12 years since I've seen Once Upon a Time in the West. I sort of put that movie on hiatus, and I want to go back to it again soon, and hopefully see what it is from a different perspective, because now I've done commentaries for all of the Dollars pictures. And so now I've got a very different perspective on what went into that. And also seeing these TV Westerns and the theatrical Westerns that I've seen since then has given me an education in what Once Upon a Time in the West was quoting throughout so much of its running time. It was really put together pieces of dialogue and scenes and situations that were culled from other Westerns.
Well, hopefully we'll see that on 4K pretty soon.
I would love that.
Fingers crossed. Tim, we've kept you a little bit longer, but thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Oh, my pleasure. It's been a good time.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Guys, I'm going to put, if you don't mind, would you mind if I put, I don't know if you have a Twitter or a Facebook, I can put that in the description. If you want to reach out to you. No,
it's videowatchdog.com, and my blog is videowatchdogblog.blogspot.com.
There you go. I'll put all that in the description, guys. And feel free to reach out and say hello. And Tim will be back. I was going to have him on later in the year. We were going to be talking about some of the stuff that he's working on now that he can't mention. But I thought, hey, if you're free, I'd love to have you on and talk Severin and just Franco, because I'm very much a noob. So I'm honored to spend some time with you and pick your brain on that. I think we all are. You really inspired me to really pay closer attention to Franco movies. So thank you for that.
Well, you're perfectly welcome. I'd be happy to come back. And sometimes when I talk like this off the cuff, I will stop and I'll stammer and I'll get confused and I want to rewrite what I'm saying. So it's not really my forte to talk like this. I like to script everything in advance and have complete control. But this was enjoyable. Thank you.
Oh my God, a pleasure. And everybody's sending you some love.
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Joel.
And Zach was one of the best.
Thank you, Zach.
And Doug. Hey, Doug.
Thank you, Doug.
All right, everybody in the live stream, hang out. We're not done yet, but I'm gonna bid adieu to Tim, and we're gonna be talking Severin, nuclear fallout, new rules and regulations when it comes to the sale. So hang out. We're not done talking Severin. Tim, thank you so much, my friend. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
All right. Oh. All right. So that was Tim Lucas. Oh my God, amazing. Let us, you and I, discuss the following situation. Boom, pop that up there. How cool was that? Oh my God. Tim Lucas. I think I cut him off by accident there on the way out. Sorry, Tim, if you're watching this, I apologize for having that happen so quickly. It shouldn't happen that quickly. Anyway, oh my God, Tim Lucas. To me, that was a bucket list interview. I love his work, and I'm honored for him to be here. Zach, you're welcome. You're welcome, man. How fucking cool is that? Jesus, that guy is awesome. Legendary indeed. By the way, I don't know if you caught it. We'll be reaching out to you real soon. I just got some really damn good news, and I'm going to be needing a DP. That's all I'll say right now. Nightwolf, cool show. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here, sir. By the way, everybody who's new here or has been hanging out, make sure you drop me a thumbs up on the video. Go over real quick, drop the thumbs up. Whatever. If you're watching on your phone, flip it around. So hit the thumbs up. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,500 subs by July 15th. No, July 5th, because that's when I hit 1 year of daily videos here on YouTube. We're not done yet. We're talking Severin, Nukes the Mid-Year Sale. We're talking specifically their new rules and regulations. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. Some good news and bad news, and I'm curious to get your takes on this. Tim 100% sold me on the Franco titles. I know that I'm going to like them, but I'm willing to give them a try. But the other ones I'm not so sure of. So let's take a look at their new rules and regulations here, and we'll walk them together, and I'd love to get your input very much. Here we go. Nuclear Fallout, you get 9 brand new movies, we know. 2 limited bundles. Now, we'll talk about those bundles in a minute. 50% off SRP. Remember that. Most Severin title and Intervision titles. A book, and then clearance merchandise, which, I don't know how many people actually can buy clearance merchandise. So, big announcement. The sale starts Friday at midnight. I will be live, just like I was with Vinegar Syndrome. I covered the opening of that sale. We went like 3 hours, 4 hours. So I'll be there Friday, 25th June 25th, midnight EST, and it's 9, 10, 11, 12, right? It's like, yeah, 9 p.m. PST here in California. I'll be covering that. The sale ends on Monday. Announcement for those of you who hung out. Next Hollyweird on Friday. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? David Gregory. David Gregory, the head of fucking Severin, will be here. Now, he is in the UK. So we have to figure out the right time to do it, to have him on live. Most likely, it's gonna be an odd time. We'll have to figure it out. It might be something like 1 p.m. PST kind of a thing. But he'll be here. He'll be here discussing the entire sale and giving his recommendations. Of course, he'd recommend all of them, but that's what we're gonna be doing that next Friday, right before the sale starts, and then I'll go live that night. Twisted Cinema, hello, new to the channel. Thank you. I appreciate having you here. What an honor. Thank you. Thank you. Jeffrey says last sale they had a bunch of DVDs for $3, but they still carry them. Okay, yeah, I did notice that actually. Joel Woods is excited for David Gregory. It's gonna be great. That'll be Friday. Tomorrow, for those of you hanging out, tomorrow, let's watch live, 3 p.m. PST. We're going to be watching Robo War right here live. You and I get some popcorn, get some drinks, beer, wine, whatever you need. Let's watch Robo War. I've never seen it. Let's watch it together, and maybe I'll end up buying it. Who knows? If I really like it. Last week we watched Siege, if you guys caught that. That's a good movie. 50% off apocryphal sale. So let's talk about what will not be included, which is kind of disappointing, but it makes sense. So we'll focus on this. Releases from the past 6 months. We're going back 6 months. Perdita, Durango, Day of the Beast, A Scream in the Streets, Nosferatu in Venice, which is not a good movie. The Milligan Collection, which we were just talking about with Tim. Grizzly, Day of the Animals, Santa Sangre, Deep Blood, Eurocrypt, which nobody wants. Strike Commando 1 and 2, Invaders of the Lost Gold, and pre-orders, obviously. So pretty much all the recent good shit, the 4Ks, you're not going to get till Black Friday. Remember that. Bundles, obviously, are not going to happen. And then they do this thing. They call it convention stock. This is like a whole bunch of shit that they said sold out. It didn't really sell out, apparently. It is convention stock, which I guess they keep aside for conventions, and there haven't been conventions recently. But something tells me that they have just a whole bunch of stuff hanging out. This will not be on sale. Limited run releases such as Blood on Satan's Claws, Beast in the Cellar, Skinner LE, Vi LE, Revenge of the Living Dead Girls LE, Theater Bizarre, Digipack, No Way Home LE. Even though wasn't No Way Home only Black Friday exclusive, never going to be sold again. Yeah. Enigma, Demonia, Shining Sex LE, which I'm going to buy. That sounds insane. Science fiction movie? Yes, I want that. Castle of the Creeping Flesh with Slip. With Slip? Well, why? I don't know, that's weird. Plague Town, Attic Expeditions, and Tales of the Uncanny, 2-disc. 2-disc. Which means essentially the box set. So all kind of like the cool stuff that people are waiting for, you're still going to have to wait for. That sucks. What is covered in the sale? Let's go. Zach says Robo War, another masterpiece, in my opinion. Awesome. Sketch says Robo War is too epic for words. I can't wait. I've never seen it. I'm so excited. Eternal Melancholy, I have to get pizza for that for tomorrow. Yes, do. Bring your food. I'm getting some goodies. Everybody's excited for Robo War. Hell yeah. Joel says, "Oh, you won't be buying Robo War." I love that. That's hilarious. GK fam, what's up? Tim Lucas was awesome. Have you thought about having more people on who do commentaries? Absolutely. One of my dear friends is C. Courtney Joyner, novelist. He wrote Puppet Master 3, among a whole bunch of other movies, and he does a ton of commentaries for Arrow. So I'm going to have him on. Absolutely. So yes, I'm gonna grab all these dudes. I'm gonna grab all these dudes and talk about all that stuff with them. Mike says Shining Sense is okay, but not one of his best. I mean, I'll be honest about Jess Franco. I've never liked the Jess Franco movie. Well, maybe Orloff. Like, the black and white stuff is okay. The stuff with Howard Vernon, I kind of like that. But, you know, boobies is boobies. You know what I mean? And they're not, it's not like, I'm not a 12-year-old boy, so it doesn't necessarily, I'm not going to get a movie just for movies. But, whatever. It's worth a throw. It's worth a throw, and it supports a company that I like. Razor Ramen, thoughts on Cruel Jaws? I reviewed Cruel Jaws when it first came out. I would point you to that review. Just look up Cruel Jaws Master Chaos. It's one of my early Master Chaos theaters. You will get you'll get a better taste than me telling you yay or nay on that. Robo Wars across between Alien, RoboCop, and Predator. How's that not good? Well, maybe because it's Italian. I don't know. This is what will be included, 50% off SRP. So remember that. Not really 50% off. They used to do really 50% off, but not anymore. The complete Lindsay Baker Giallo collection, which I thought I had here. I don't know where it went. That's one I honestly can't recommend. I wasn't a big fan of those movies. They were kind of dull. Revenge of the Living Dead Girls, I really liked. Enigma, I really like. Demonia, I thought was boring. Beast Must Die, haven't seen. Shining Sex, haven't seen. Fulci, it's like a recent movie, so I don't know. I can't recommend that either way. Cruel Jaws, I'll be honest, I did not like it. It's pretty much, there is no real shark movie. They just shot some actors and they ripped off footage from other movies. Massacre at Dinosaur Valley, I'm going to be reviewing this week coming up. Stay tuned. Primitives, I don't know. Black Cat, I'm going to get. I don't know anything about it, but it sounds good. Patrick Still Lives. Has anybody seen Patrick Still Lives? Because I think that's the one that has a crazy death. I don't care. Spoil it for me. What happens in that movie? Well, maybe somebody in the chat doesn't want to get spoiled, but yeah, maybe not. But Patrick Still Lives, I potentially might get. Joel says, you take that back. Lindsay Baker is amazing. You say you are sorry. I can't. It's my opinion, man. If you liked it, you liked it. Good for you. I'm proud of you. I thought they were okay scripting wise. They were just a little slower, and I wouldn't really call them giallos. They were just kind of like slow, sexy movies. Yeah. That's my opinion on that. You might have said before, but I'll ask anyway. Is there a director who's dead that you wish you could be a director? Who's dead? Frank Capra. Frank Capra is one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. Frank Capra, my God. Fellini. I love Fellini. Kurosawa. Yeah, I love those guys. I already clicked on that one. No to Patrick, but I'm planning on getting it. Tim, please do commentary for 4K. Once Upon a Time in America. Well, I'll pass it on to him. He's not here. Bold words about Lindsay Baker. Patrick Still Lives has nothing to do with Patrick, but it's great. How could you dislike a shark movie with Hulk Hogan looking like that rips off other movies? Well, it's because it's a movie starring a Hulk Hogan looking like that rips off other movies. I like my shark movies to be genuine. You know, like, oh, this shark is from this fucking movie, not like cut to another movie. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old, but I was disappointed. The same with Deep Blood. That's another movie that it's all stock fucking footage, man. It's like real actors, which I actually really liked the human story in Deep Blood, like the characters that were believable and I was rooting for them. But the shark was all fucking National Geographic footage. What the shit? Disappointing. Shock Treatment, I want to get, only because I like the actors in it, but I don't know much about it. Theater Bizarre and Plague Town, I'm not going to grab. Expectations, I'm not going to grab. Castle of Creeping Flesh, I heard sucks. And I already have Tales of the Uncanny, which I do recommend. So let's talk about what's available, and then we'll cover the bundles. I'm curious what everybody thinks the mystery title is. And we were all losing our shit. I was in Disney, so I couldn't really be a part of the conversation, but we were all losing our shit when they put up those fucking plastic vampire fangs, and everyone's like, oh shit, it better not be Vampire's Kiss. I was totally thought it was gonna be Vampire's Kiss. I was talking to Aaron, Mr. Golden Cinema, and I was like, it's Vampire's Kiss, and he's like, no. I've seen Blood for Dracula, but I'm on the fence as to whether I want it or not. Have I ever met or chatted with David Lynch? I have not. I've seen him in person, but I've not had a chance to chat with him. If I ever did chat with David Lynch, I would talk meditation. That's something we have in common. Beyond filmmaking, meditation. I'll talk to him about that. I think that would be kind of an amazing conversation. Actually, you know, he's on YouTube. Nothing is impossible. All you gotta do is ask. All you gotta do is ask. Griff, they shut down Great White as a mystery title. Yeah, Great White's tricky, man. So much. Yeah, Universal could essentially close Severin down if that happens. So, yeah, no, man. I don't think they'll ever do it. I don't think anybody will ever do it. So, let's talk about these fucking prices, man. Jesus fucking Christ. That's, you know, I'm going to be honest. I'm always honest with you guys. This is expensive. And you can say, well, you know, Vinegar Syndrome has similar pricing. But all of their movies are, well, I guess not all of them are $28, but they used to be all $28. But these almost feel like, I mean, these were all blind fucking buys. I mean, I've seen Blood for Dracula, but it's been a long ass time. These are all blind buys for me. A lot of money, man. $28 for House of Lost Women. Comes with a CD. I'll be honest, I'm not going to listen to that CD. I don't have a CD player. Black Boots is $24. So it's $4 cheaper because it doesn't have a CD. Full Cheese Warriors, 2 disc, $28. I don't know what the 2 discs is. Maybe the soundtrack. It doesn't really specify. Although the specs did come out recently. Guy Magar's Retribution, which I don't know anything about, but it does not sound that great. 3 discs. Wow. One of them is a CD. I don't know what the second disc will be, but $36. Yeah, $36 is what I pay for a 4K of Vinegar Syndrome, man. I think Lynch would have some blue skies and golden sunshine for you. Yes! You know that too? I love it. I watch that every morning. He tells me the weather, man. He tells me the weather. I love it. That's so funny. Okay, Joe D'Amato's Endgame, $28. This comes with a soundtrack as well. $28. By the way, Endgame, we're going to be watching that on the 26th, June 26th. So the Let's Watch on that Saturday, we're watching Endgame. Try before you buy. That's what it's all for, and it's free on YouTube. So that's why I'm not ripping anybody off. It's free on YouTube. If Severin wants me to take it down afterwards, I will. Mark Savage's The Masturbating Gunman, $20. That's a fair price. That's a fair price, but I don't know that I want that movie. I don't know. Raiders of Atlantis, $24. Okay. Why? It's a single. Why did they wait so long to reveal that one? This is, of course, Blood for Dracula. 3 disc, 4K. Second disc, I'm guessing, is the blue. And I don't know, maybe the soundtrack. The Digipack, $45. $45, man. It is. It's the best. So funny, man. How does this dude have time? Every day. Amazing. Chill Melancholy. I don't mind if the movies are $30 or under and are high quality, but I'm not going over 30. That's why I couldn't pull the trigger on Beastmaster. Yeah, a lot of people couldn't, and that's a good movie. That's a legit good movie that everybody knows. How many people actually want the CDs with these? They should save the money and release the movie. I agree. I mean, yeah, that's a good question. How many people actually listen to these CDs? I don't have a CD player in my car. Or, I mean, I guess I could play it on my... No, actually, my computer doesn't even have a fucking drive. Maybe I could put it in my Blu-ray player? Why would I... Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I feel like that's sort of an extra nonsensical touch, but that's just me and Razor. Blood for Dracula, $45. Is that steep? Who do you? I mean, that's a lot of money. I know 4Ks are in that range, but fuck, man, for that movie, $45. Mystery Blu-ray title. Now this is interesting. Very limited. 2-disc Blu-ray with an unpromotable slipcover. It's not going to be nudity because they've done that before. It's going to be something along the lines of, you know, Texas Chainsaw 3 and Jaws 5 or whatever. This is going to debut Saturday, June 26th at noon. EST. Oh shit, it's EST? Noon EST. Wow, so that's like fucking 9 a.m. for me. And it will only be available for the remainder of the sale. $32. Now, why is it $32? That's pricey for even a 2-disc. 2-disc goes for $28. So why is it $32? Because why is it $32? Unless it's a surprise 4K. I don't know. That seems like a very arbitrary price. $32 for another 2-disc Blu-ray? It was very arbitrary. Zach says you gotta digitize it and blast it in your car. Man, that's too much work. Just have them send me. Have them include the fucking link to a download. Maybe I'll listen to that. I think I know that Keelan Patrick still lives. That was risky. Usually when your genitals are attacked, it ups the ante. But the weirdest part watching, as I LOL'd, was how overly inviting she was to it. Okay, so that's what I thought. It involves female genitalia. That's interesting to me. Beastmaster is so expensive, I still haven't got it yet. And you can't. It is sold out. You'll probably just be able to grab the random, you know, like whatever, the slipcover edition, but the big book box is gone, man. Unless you go to eBay, and then it's really expensive. Okay, so $32, I think that's a little crazy. $45 for a 4K of, I mean, Blood for Dracula. Let's be fucking serious. It's not an amazing movie. You know what I mean? It's not. I paid $25 for The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and I love that movie. It's my favorite Western, and even that was like, ooh, $25. You know? So $45 for Blood for Dracula? No. Golden Child. I was planning to import Blood for Dracula Blu-ray from Australia for $90. Oh my lord! $45 is a bargain. Well, good for you. Yes, I'm glad you're getting it, man. I disagree. 4K movies are in that range. They're $25 to $30 unless you get a steelbook, and that's like $35. Online sites kind of get crazy on 4K movies. Oh yeah, they can be expensive. I'm not arguing that, but I don't want to pay that. Is essentially what I'm saying. I don't want to pay that unless I buy the bundle, and I don't think I did the math. You're not really saving. Well, you're saving money when it comes to the other random ones. With the bundle, according to my math, you know, breaking up. Well, we'll get to the bundle in a minute. The bundle is $246. Breaking that up by 9, everything is $27. Which is fine, you know, if you want everything. That's you know, that's around just whatever standard Vinegar Syndrome price. But I just have to be very careful with my money, man. I've become more picky, honestly, doing this channel and becoming a super serious collector. I've become way more picky. I can't just buy everything. There's a book, After the World Ends, 400 copies on hand, 252 pages. Sounds great, but I'm sure it's a good read, but I'm not going to remember anything about it. I just don't retain information from nonfiction books. That's just how my brain works, for better or worse. Let's talk about the bundle. Number 1, Nuclear Meltdown Bundle, limited to 300. I'm going to predict they sell out of that, only because people are really excited for Blood for Dracula, and the other movies seem to have fans. I predict that will sell out, as opposed to the Black Friday ones where, like, the bundle of movies nobody wanted. This bundle will include all 9 brand new mid-year releases. The wraps for Retribution will be signed by the director and composer Alan Howarth. Oh, the director Guy McGarb. The raps for the masturbating gunman will be signed by the director, Mark Savage. I mean, that's nice, but can I get it cheaper without it signed? I don't really care for the signatures at all. Honestly. $246. We did the math on that. The Marauders Bundle, limited to 200. This bundle will include only the post-nuke Blu-ray releases. Warriors of the year 2072 Endgame and Raiders of Atlantis, along with the book. $104. Is that good? You know what? I haven't done the math on that. Let me do it here. I'm going to do it on my screen for a minute. Let's do some math real quick. I'll crunch the numbers for you. What is the price of everything individually? Let's go look at that. So 28 plus Endgame is another 28. Okay. Plus 24 for Atlantis. Okay. Then the book is 35. 115. 115 is what it gets. You save $10. I mean, it's a savings. That's a savings, which is nice. Yeah, there you go. Not bad, not bad. Dave, have a great night, everyone. Amazing night stream. I have to be going. Just Dave, take care of yourself. I hope to see you tomorrow. This kill everyone is talking about can't hold the candle to a death scene and walking the edge. Forrester does some stuff with a blade. They'll have you squirming and shouting him on. Oh shit! I still haven't watched that. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to that. I hear really good stuff about that. Raiders, Sketch 2. Raiders has some great stunts, but it's as dumb as a stump. That's not much of a selling point. Eternal Melancholy. I heard that the Universal Monsters are coming to 4K. I already have the Blu-ray steelbooks, but I might double dip. Oof. Yeah, I love those movies so much, but I don't know that I could. I mean, how much better could they look? To be honest, they're so old. How much better could they look? That's my feeling on it. For black and white, I haven't really been swayed on it. Although I do own It's a Wonderful Life on 4K, but it's my favorite movie, so there's that. So check this out. The site is going to be down starting Monday, but you feel the Neighborhood Master Cast has got you covered. I'm going to have live, not live. Okay, they can't be live. They're pre-recorded. I'm going to have site tours Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, giving you my recommendations, your must-buy, my avoids, and a list of what I'm getting. So site tours with me, just like I did with Severin, coming next week. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Monday, I'm doing sort of a wrap-up of all the new information that was released. And then Friday, we're going to have David Gregory on and be live at night to cover the opening of the sale. Good news on shipping. Spend over $100, you get free shipping. Not bad. I think that's good that they're adding that. A lot of people don't do that. I mean, they didn't need to do that, actually. You had to pay for shipping, and that was kind of a fucking headache. Anything else we need to talk about here? I think that's it. Yeah, I just wanted to go over the bundles and go over the stuff that was on sale. I would reach out to go to the website now and go over stuff, but I've got that planned for next week, so I'm not going to take up any more of your time. Man, Tim Lucas was here. How amazing was that? Amazing. That was so cool. I'm leaning towards getting the bundle, but I can't afford it. I don't know. $246. I mean, if I got it, the only reason would be to review it for you guys. But that's a huge layout of money for movies that I'm not familiar with. Completely unfamiliar with. Favorite movie, It's a Wonderful Life. Where is he? I've got I don't know where he went. I have a little George Bailey doll. It's a Wonderful Life. Great movie. Oh, masterpiece. Zach, you're looking forward to the sale? Let me know what everybody's grabbing. I'm curious. Is everybody doing Lindsay Baker? If you're doing Lindsay Baker, just put LB in the comment box. You don't have to write out the whole thing. I think that's probably going to be a hot seller for them. I think people have been waiting for the sale for that. I would have grabbed it if I didn't have it already. But then I got it for a really good price on Amazon. Which, by the way, I don't know if you guys are paying attention to Amazon or if you go to Blu-ray.com and check out the sales page, but there's a lot of Scream Factory titles on sale. Like for a good price. Better than like well, I guess they have a sale coming up, don't they? Or they should. They have a summer sale usually. But Scream Factory titles, not only are they discounted, but you also, some of them get a discount on top of it, like $2 off or something. It helps in the long run. Dave James, LB, all right. Joel, being a Canadian participating in the Severin sale makes no sense for me. The distribution is pretty janky. I like the second last video store in Toronto deal with them. I'm also excited for Chris Lee. Nice. Enjoy your Chris Lee box set. Oh, not. I just recorded the last episode. It'll be out Sunday. The last disc and the book review. That'll be out Sunday. But tomorrow, yes. Robo War. And yeah, Robo War. Sunday will be the final installment of the Eurocrypt review. Monday, all Severin coverage. Then Saturday, we'll do Endgame. Then, oh, you know what I might do? Well, no, that's too early. Well, we'll cover Endgame, and then we'll see what the secret release is. We'll do like a little live preview of that or whatever. And then Sunday, I'm going to be joined by Aaron, my brother from another mother, Mr. Cult of Cinema himself. He'll be here. So Tony the Dead and see more movies and a whole bunch of people. We're going to be talking Severin Aftermath, discussing the joys and sorrows of being a collector, as it were. Okay, let's call it a night. I've had such an amazing time here with you and with Mr. Lucas. What an amazing time that was. He'll be back. He'll join us again. We'll be talking some more, deep dives on film. He hasn't told me anything, but he says he's working on a ton of commentary tracks for stuff coming out later in the year, and so we had planned to revisit that. But I said, hey, come on, and would you like to talk about Severin titles and give us some recommendations? And Jess Franco sort of became the one that we are settled on as the main topic of discussion, and Andy Milligan as well. How are you enjoying the Polish TV show? I'm pretty much bulging to see that. Well, wait for the review. I will say this: it's pretty much the best thing on the box set, but they're not great. Say that. Zach, thank you for hanging in. I'm glad you had an amazing time. I certainly had a good time with that, with you guys here. And Mr. Tim Lucas, gosh, how amazing. How amazing. Joel, thank you. Eternal, thank you. Thank you very much. Mandroid, thanks again. You've got your subscriber. Thank you so much, Mandroid. Did you ever see the Mandroid movie, The Full Moon made? That's a good movie. That might have been where you got your name from. Thank you so much. I'm glad to have you here. Mike, thanks again. Master, go to bed. Okay, get some rest. Get some rest. Sketch 2. This was fun. It was fun. What a great time. All right. We'll continue the Severin coverage tomorrow. I'm going to go drink some booze and watch some RoboCop with the family. My little master and Mistress Cass have never seen it. So I'm going to introduce them to the world of Alex Murphy tonight. See you tomorrow. Razor, one of my lovely patrons. Have a good night, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Nailed it. Awesome. Yeah, man. Mandroid was good shit. Better than Invisible, actually. Better than Invisible, in my opinion. Okay. I gotta go. I love you guys very much. I'll see you tomorrow, 3 p.m. PST. Remember that. Let's go watch some crazy ass. What the fuck is it called? Robo War, and then RoboCop. Oh, look at this. Timothy. Hey, Tim. My dad got me RoboCop when I was 6. No shit. Little Master is 6. That's going to be amazing. Okay, good. I love it. All right, Robo War tomorrow, 3 p.m. PST. I hope you'll join me. It's going to be fun. And I may be dropping some information as to what the future of the channel holds. And it's good news. Until we meet again, remember, I'll do one of these. Bloop. I love you very much. As a matter of fact, I love you just the way you are. Take care of yourself. I remain to be continued.